So you wake up at 3:17 in the morning and suddenly you're replaying something that you said 3 days ago. Why did I say that? Did I sound stupid? Maybe they took it the wrong way. Should I text them? And an hour later, you've solved absolutely nothing except you've lost an hour of sleep. So why does our brain do this? Why does it keep returning to the same thoughts even when thinking harder doesn't make anything better? The answer has less to do with weakness than you might think, and everything to do with how the human brain evolved. So imagine you're walking through a forest 20,000 years ago. You hear something moving in the bushes. Maybe it's wind, maybe it's a deer, or maybe it's a predator. If you assume it's dangerous and you're wrong, you've wasted a little bit of energy. But if you assume it's harmless and you're wrong, don't get another chance, right? So our ancestors didn't survive because they were optimistic. They survived because their brains were exceptionally good at anticipating threats. Natural selection rewarded caution. It rewarded scanning the environment for danger. It rewarded asking, what if? Thousands of generations later, you inherited that same brain, and so did I. The only difference is that the bushes have been replaced. The threats aren't lions, now they're awkward conversations, unread text messages, job interviews, medical test results, that bill that you don't want to think about, the email your boss hasn't answered. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between physical danger and social uncertainty. It simply notices that something feels unresolved and starts searching for answers. So thinking helps us solve problems, but overthinking convinces us that more thinking will eventually solve every problem. But there's an important difference here because thinking moves forward and overthinking moves in circles. It's like sitting in a rocking chair where there's constant movement but no real progress. Your brain mistakes activity for productivity. It whispers, just think about it one more time. Maybe you'll finally figure it out. But usually you don't. Instead, you replay the same conversation, the same mistake, the same fear again and again. So let's talk about 3 mental traps. The first one you've probably heard of is called analysis paralysis. You believe that there must be a perfect decision, so you keep gathering information, more opinions, more videos, more articles, and eventually choosing becomes harder than the choice itself. The second trap is called catastrophizing. Your mind jumps from possibility to certainty. A delayed reply becomes rejection. A small mistake becomes career ending. A headache becomes something life-threatening. Your imagination fills in the blanks, usually with the worst possible outcome. The third trap is mind reading, and we become convinced that we know what everyone else thinks. They probably think I'm incompetent. They're disappointed in me. Everyone noticed. But the uncomfortable truth is that most people are too busy thinking about themselves to spend nearly as much time thinking about us as we imagine. So why do we keep doing it? Overthinking creates an illusion of control. If I keep thinking, maybe I can prevent something bad. Maybe I can avoid embarrassment. Maybe I can prepare for every outcome. But uncertainty isn't a puzzle that can always be solved. Sometimes it simply has to be lived. And that's uncomfortable, but it's also where peace begins. So breaking the cycle. The goal isn't to stop thinking. That would be impossible, of course. The goal is learning to recognize when thinking has stopped being useful. So one question can change everything. Ask yourself, am I solving this or just replaying it? And if you're replaying, your next step probably isn't another thought, it's an action. So send the text, make the decision, go for a walk, close the laptop, and accept that perfect certainty isn't coming and that that's okay. Because confidence doesn't come before action, it usually comes after it. So to sum up, your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. The problem is it was designed for survival, not necessarily for peace. So the more we understand how our minds work, the less power our thoughts have to control us. So the next time you catch yourself replaying the same conversation for the 10th time, remember this. You don't need to attend every meeting your mind schedules. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is politely decline the invitation. So I'm glad you spent a few minutes here today because every day is another chance to understand ourselves a little bit better. Until next time, I'm Dana. This is the lab assistant Spruce, and we send you much love and peace. Take care.